most people know you, everyone loves you, but what is the story for anybody who is new to the call?
Okay, been here for I think a little over 3 years. I came from a real estate background. I love sales because with sales, you could legitimately pick how much income you're worth, right? Most people have a 9 to 5 where your employer says, hey, you're worth $15, $20. This is your cap, this is your ceiling. For me, I didn't really want a boss, but then when I first got into the real estate world, it was cold door knocking, cold calling. It took me 7 months to sell my first home. And then I started to pick up the traction. So I knew like it took some time and then I found the life insurance industry and here we are today. But the number one thing if you guys are writing this down and I've probably said this to a lot of people who've like I've hired, but the life insurance industry is recession proof. That is a huge part because everyone's going to die, everyone is potentially your client, and I think if you're trying to find the right vehicle, this is the right vehicle because every single person is going to use this product and we're helping people during like the worst moment of their lives. And so I'm very passionate about it because sales is sales. Yeah, commission-based sales is the highest paid occupation in America. But specifically in the life insurance sector, financial services creates the most millionaires in America. And I'd rather be in a vehicle that I actually help people and I learn how to serve people, and you are in control of your own business here. So in a mouthful, that's why.
That was a mouthful. I love it. Des, how
Yeah.
long you been with us now?
A little over 3 years.
How long were you here before you had your first 30K month?
Jeez. I was honestly messing around with this thing. I was very part-time, and Digna will probably say this too. She's like, "You guys are messing around." And I could relate to that because when I first got in, it took me maybe, oh, I don't know, 7 months, 6 or 7 months. And I was
Okay,
like, oh
six or
my
7 months
gosh. Yeah.
before you hit your first 30K. Now here you are, 30K back to back to back.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. I love it. Thanks, Des. Dom,
Yeah.
can you hear me?
Yes, I'm here.
All right, quick story. Fire it.
Boom. So I am 24 years old. I graduated at FAU 2 years ago. I was valet parking cars, had a marketing degree. I'm like, cool, I'm gonna get a nice cushy marketing job until I saw what they were paying. And that kind of made me realize that it wasn't really worth it and I wanted more. So I started looking into any and all sales opportunities. I went into like 12 different interviews. They either didn't make sense, they were like, hey, you're not going to get paid for 9 months, or they were like, hey, you need 2 years of experience. So I was struggling trying to find something, stumbled upon life insurance. And I've been here for a year and a half. And to answer your question as well, it probably took me about 8 months to write my first 30,000. I sucked at first. I was really nervous on the phones, sweating, red face. It was awful. But just through repetition and failing, about 100 times, but learning from those 100 mistakes.
Yeah, I love it. Dom, how did you get recruited again?
So Sean actually pulled up to the valet where I was parking cars. It was me and about six other guys working there that day, and he was really respectful and really driven. So we're like, what the hell does this guy do? So we asked him, and he simply said, "I sell life insurance. Take the test. What do you have to lose? You're sitting around here chasing cars." So the other five guys were kind of like, whatever. And I was like, what's this test he's talking about? I gotta figure out. So found
Yeah.
it, took the test, rest is history.
Yeah, but that's cool, guys. And think about that, Dom. You were going into interviews with sales companies to be in sales, and it was not working. And then you got recruited at the valet. So I say that, guys, to remember you don't know who's going to be good for this opportunity. You don't know who needs it. You don't know, you might be looking in the wrong place, right? And you need to be looking everywhere. You need to be looking at local coffee shops, local, if you're going to the bar, if you're on vacation, if you're here, if you're there, if you're valeting your car. So think about that. Dom was looking for an opportunity and it didn't come in the interviews he was looking. It came in the form of a customer coming to valet his car. So Dom, that's really cool. All right, Diggs,
Hey.
the queen,
So
queen,
I'm
go
so
for it.
honored and so excited to be here, guys. So I'm Digna. I'm a mom of four kids, and I went and became professional in this country. I'm from the Dominican Republic, and I went to school. I figured that's the way to do it, right? So I had two college degrees behind me that I don't use at all. Okay, and I worked corporate America for 22 years. And I went up and was making almost 200 grand a year in corporate, right? No life. I didn't see my kids. I was tired of being tired. Mothers, you guys know what I'm talking about. I couldn't do it anymore. I was sick and I started getting, into businesses with my husband. Let's do whatever to get out of this job, right? And I went through so many different opportunities. And in network marketing, we actually make great money. But that industry, it's crazy. Like we lost it all in a heartbeat, all of it, because it's somebody else's dream, it's somebody else's business. And then I got into this life insurance business not because I wanted to. I hated it. My husband forced me to go get licensed to save our family. Okay. We are 2016 with 4 kids and no financial plan. My life insurance that I had was from my job and I didn't have a job anymore. So I'm like, oh, we are in trouble. We didn't know anything about anything. We didn't have any life insurance. We didn't know anything about finances, and we were in trouble. We lost everything after making millions of dollars. And when I got into this, I was like, this is crazy. I would never do that. And I went through a bunch of other companies to get here, guys. My first company was just National Life, IULs. And then I went into infinite banking for 4 years. I've been doing this for 8 years, and I did a super part time before until I found FFL. I recruited myself with 10 agents day one until I found my mentor, my leader, who was this young lady right here. I met her at a convention. I said, my husband said, this is who you need to be working with. He saw a video from her. She was like, just, and I'm like, yeah, that's my girl. So we met, and literally what I was looking to do 4 years into this industry, almost five, to build an agency. 4 years. It took me 2.5 months to do in this company. Not because I'm that good, but because I was tired of just going through people telling me nonsense, and I wanted to build a big business and go to work. Just tell me what to do. And when they said you have leads and you could buy them, I said, what the heck is a lead? I'm in. What do I have to do? How much do I need? Well, we're not paying the mortgage this month. I'm going to buy leads because that's how you make money here. Anyway, that's my story. I'm just so in love with this company. I bleed a family first life. That's what's in my blood. And I cannot stop talking about this opportunity because there is absolutely nothing else better out there. I've done it all. And all the other companies, you're in the right place. Go to work. That's my
I
two.
love it. I love it. Diggs, it always makes me laugh when you tell that story because I can remember exactly what you said to me when we met.
I
And
have a picture too.
no, you walked up to me. This is what she said. You walked up to me and you said, I have to come meet you and I have to take a picture with you because my husband's obsessed with you. And I was like, where's this going? And then she's like, no, we want to work with you. And I was like, oh, that makes more sense. I'm like,
No, because he saw your training, and she was, oh my God, she was fire. Okay, when she was coming up to building her agency, she was fire. She was me, and he's like, that's it. That's what you need to be working with. And that was my first time at the convention. I'm like, I've been here 3 years now. In April, 3 years, 3.5. Well, it's gone on 3.5 years. And I'm so grateful to God that I met you. And I never forget that. And I'm always grateful. And I'm always going to say this, guys. When you find somebody, whoever you're working with right now, my goodness, just copy paste and just listen to them. Because you showed me how to do this. I didn't know how to do family first life. I knew how to, I love people, and I work. I don't care, but you're not gonna overwork me. I'm gonna work 24/7 if I have to. And I believe bigger than anyone ever. So I'm just gonna do what I need to do. You just tell me. And she said, you gotta do this, you gotta do. I'm like, okay, I'm in. What else? Let's go. And that to me, it's everything. Just do it. Don't question it. Just do it.
I love it. All right, guys. And so we're going to get to some questions here. We're going to rapid fire these. I'm going to ask them just in the order they came in. They could be about recruiting. They could be about sales. They could be anything. Now, guys, all these questions came from you on this call. Okay, I didn't make any of these up. I didn't ask any. This is the stuff that you guys wanted to know. Now, here's the thing, guys. A lot of us are always looking for someone to have the exact same story as us before we can take their advice. So a lot of times what I see is like, if you're a couple in business, you always are like, well, I want to know if I want to see another couple in business that's really successful, right? Or you're like, well, I'm a young guy, so I want to see a young guy in business who's really successful. Or like, I'm a mom, right? Marissa can't know what she's talking about because she's not a mom and I have 4 kids and I have this going on and things like that. So what I'm here to tell you guys is we got everybody, okay? Everyone from every different background has been successful here. We got Des, we got Dom, we got Diggs has 4 kids, we got old people, we got young people, we got new people, we got, you know, all different colors of people, we got all different demographics from different countries. Like, you can't possibly just be waiting, right? And you can't only take advice from, I need this specific person to tell me what to do because they're the most like you. Everyone has their own story. But if you do need that, we got it all. Okay. So I want to preface this with, like, you got to wipe any of those excuses off the table, right? Because you're only looking for a situation that is relevant to you. Everything these guys have to say is super, super important. So we're not going to go in any particular order. I'm just going to ask who I think is going to be a good answer of this question. Dom, you ready?
Ready.
All right. Someone asked, what was your biggest struggle when you started in the industry and how did you overcome it?
I would say my biggest struggle starting off was with the selling side of it. I was already recruiting early on. I was talking to, AJ and other people at the valet, AJ Thomas. But my biggest problem was the actual selling. It was getting people on the phone and learning from my mistakes. So a problem I had early on was I was reading the script like a robot. And I thought that that's how I would get better, just by reading it even closer and closer every time. What it really took was taking the advice of others, people that had more experience than me, were in the position that I wanted to be in, and just doing whatever they told me needed to be fixed, whether it was my tonality, whether I needed to be more assertive on the phone. That was a huge one I had early on. I was coming from the valet, I was very polite. Open the door, yes, sir, please, yada, yada. It doesn't translate when you're getting sensitive information or trying to help somebody that may tell you to give them a call back next week. I'd be like, okay, sounds good, I'll talk to you then, have a nice day. And that doesn't work well. So I needed to become coachable because I've never really had to be coachable before. So that's something I really had to work on. And I'll tell you what, it's when you open yourself up like that and really say, okay, I'm really going to take into account whatever they're saying. I'm not just going to brush it off. That's when you start to really learn.
So Dom, I think that's really important. Did you think you were coachable? Like, you thought you were and then you realized that you weren't? Because I think a lot of people think that. Like, they think, oh, I'll take advice, but then they actually don't.
Yeah, I thought I was super coachable until I wasn't doing anything. Then I realized I wasn't.
Yeah. And I think that's super important because I would do that too. Like, I did what Dom told me, but the reality is I did like a tiny little bit of what Dom told me because I thought that was all. So I think that's super important. You almost have to have like a reality check in your brain of like, I'm actually not this thing that I'm telling myself that I am.
Exactly.
That's huge. I love that. All right, Des, you ready?
Let's do it.
All right. Hold on. I'm scrolling.
She's scrolling.
All right. How do you keep momentum going to sell and recruit at a high level consistently?
Okay. So I would say being obsessed with like activity goals in a sense, because then when you translate from like an hourly job into something like this, hitting specific numbers, like did I do everything that I needed to do? So we always talk about income producing activity. So from a selling standpoint, am I getting leads every single week? Am I calling those leads 3 times in a row, maximizing how many times I'm calling them? Am I hitting the most presentations that I could do? And then also from a recruiting standpoint, how many interviews can I fit in a week? And so if I look at it like that, that's kind of how I kind of structure my day. Like, how much can I actually do? And then also, I think this is a really important question because you start working for yourself, asking yourself like a very honest, intentional look at your day. Did I actually do everything I could do today? Would I fire or hire myself today? And I struggled with that very early on. I wasn't like very disciplined and I wasn't making money. And so I was like, okay, well, this makes sense. I'm not making money because I'm not doing XYZ things. But I think being obsessed with like hitting your activity goals.
Des, but you have weeks that you don't hit your activity goals and you feel unmotivated, right?
Oh, yeah, all the
So
time.
what do you do to keep that rolling, that motivation, and to keep showing up?
Gosh, I think so. Motivation, and you guys have probably heard this a lot too, that doesn't last. What lasts is discipline. So if you start to build the habit of making sure you're hitting the most activity, hitting your dials, logging into Zoom every day, because at the end of the day, no one else is going to save you. And I think asking yourself too, what is your plan B? Because if you have a plan B, you're going to start cutting corners with this opportunity. So when I started to realize that I wasn't really hitting like or maximizing my potential, I'm like, what the hell else am I going to do? So I think just, approaching each day with the best that you could do every single day, the motivation will fizzle. But then that's when like the discipline kind of comes in.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think I always say that too, Des. Like, okay, if you want to quit today, that's fine. But then are you going to be happy with what you're doing tomorrow? That's your plan B. And if the answer is no, you should just probably get up and try again tomorrow.
Right.
All right. Thanks. All right, Diggs, you ready?
Ready.
Lots of people want to know lots of stuff from you. I'm going to hit you with a technical one really quick, first of all, because I think it's a good question. Someone wants to know, how do you handle a lead that has a good amount of life insurance already and doesn't qualify for an IUL? They wanted the IUL.
Okay, so there's a reason why they're still looking, right? So there's something that they want to fulfill, and that's what you need to find out the why. So if they have money and they have life insurance, they need an annuity. They're looking for an IUL because they obviously not looking for protection for their families. They're looking to put money to grow in the, where they're not going to lose money. It's going to be in the index, blah blah blah. That's what they're looking for. So you need to come in, and if you don't know, we had a training here, amazing training. There's help. Just there's somebody that could help us. So just pass that person over to somebody that knows how to do an annuity, because that's what I'm gonna do for that person. I'm gonna still do my entire presentation with that client as if he was gonna qualify for an IUL. I'm gonna tell you why. Because I want to know how much money he wanted to put into this IUL. And once I know that he has $1,000 a month for the IUL, but I know you're not going to qualify for it, I'm going to do an illustration for index annuity with $1,000 a month. And we have that with National Life that they could pay monthly into that annuity. They don't have to have $10,000. They could just have $100 a month, really. And you could do an FIT annuity where they could put in that $1,000 per month, and it's still going to do the same thing as the other ones because they already have the insurance. So I'm not going to try to sell a final expense to someone that already has that. I leave that alone unless they tell me they want more. I want to find the need. They don't need life insurance. They need to put that money to work for them. So that's what I would do in that scenario, which I have clients like that today.
Yeah. And that's huge, Diggs. And I want to point out the key thing that she said there that I think this is where we're probably missing it is you're doing the entire presentation, even if you know they're not going to qualify, so that you can get to that, what you're looking for. I think a lot of times we hear the medical that they have, and then we're kind of cutting it short, like, oh, what do I do? Go through the whole thing if that's the case, so that you can find out what they actually have and then move on from there.
That's huge. And my agents, I stop them right away. When you hear that I had cancer last year, oh, you don't qualify for an IUL. That's a big mistake, guys. Because they're not going to listen to anything else you're going to say. And I get that. We want to do that. We want to be honest with them. I want to continue to find out because here's the other thing. I'm going to find out if they have grandkids, their kids, their wife. Is she younger and healthy? Because somebody will get an IUL in that family, but this person has money that's going to put into an annuity, or they're going to buy an IUL for someone else in the family. But I don't want to disregard this person. I want to give them all my attention. Obviously, I'm not going to spend 45 minutes. I'm going to make it shorter because I don't have to have that many questions for medical. So I'm going into the financial part of the presentation and try to dig in and find out the why and why he wants to do this. And most times we come out with policy for the family and an annuity for the client.
Okay, Diggs, follow-up question because someone asked and it's really good. So you did all that. Now you're gonna tell them, hey, we're moving from IUL to annuity. What's that word track that you say to let them know?
I never say that. So here's what I do with that client. So I say, okay, John, I have everything that I need from you right now to go. I need to do further underwriting for you because of your situation with cancer, with whatever. I'm not going to be able to do an instant approval or do that right now for you. And I try to book that appointment for the next hour. Don't do it for the next day or tonight, next hour, because that's all you need, really, 30 minutes. I said, how I have an appointment after this. How about 3 p.m.? Are you going to be available? What I'm going to do, I'm going to call my underwriting team and I'm going to find out what's the best offer that they give me for you. Now I'm going to go to work for you. And that's exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to do that. So now I'm going to go and build this guy Like if they don't have insurance and they do need a final expense, I'm gonna build them an IUL with a final expense. If they're young enough, I'll do a $50,000 Transamerica with an accidental. That's 100K. And then I'll do the rest of the money that they already told me they want to put into this IUL. I'll do it into an annuity. And then when I show it to them, I say, this is what the company came back with for you. Let me explain how it works. And then I go over what I'm going to offer. So I never mentioned, oh, I'm sorry, you don't get the IUL. I do say this is not an IUL, but this is what they offer. This is the best offer that you could qualify for today. Again, I need to submit it to see if they approve it, but this is what they came back with. And it always worked for me.
That's gangster. You're the best. And guys, everything Digna says comes out with confidence. So that's the thing too, is it's how she says it. The clients are not going to say no to that. So I love that. All right. Des, coming back to you, homie. All right. How many dials, talks, and presentations are you trying to hit daily? And what are you telling your agents that they need to try to hit daily?
Okay, for full time, so I still take some people part-time, but for full-time, 300 plus dials a day if you're hand dialing, aiming for 4 presentations a day, and then submitting anywhere from 2 to 3. That's the goal. And if you hit one of those metrics, it's showing that you're working pretty much every day. Now, if you have a speed dialer, you could definitely blow past 300 dials, anywhere from 300 to 500 to even 800 a day. And then as far as talks go, I think talks are important because you should get maybe like a 10% talking ratio. So if I do 300 dials, I should have 30 talks. If you do 300 dials, you only get 3 talks, your number's probably spam. So I think it's important to track those metrics. But for me specifically, I'm aiming for presentations, anywhere from 2 to 4, and then submitting, 2 to 3.
Okay, so you're not tracking hours, like this is how many hours I worked. You're saying these are the activities we need to try to hit.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, now I'm gonna actually bounce over to Dom real quick and then come back. Dom, are those numbers for you and your agency and your agent the same, or what are your guys's?
To be honest, I lack a little bit with the KPIs. Something that we more so take into account is time on the phone. So realistically, we're in this office from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. That does not mean everybody's working super hard. So a lot of people have stopwatches that they are timing, kind of like Nick D'Ambroso talked about, timing how much am I actually on the phone for. That includes dialing time as well as time with the clients. So by the end of the day, if your timer only shows an hour, that's not a lot of working time. That's less than part time. So it really puts it in perspective for you of if you're not hitting your goals, if you don't have any presentations at the end of the day, cool, how long did you dial? And that usually sums it up for us right there.
Yeah, I like that. And guys, here's the thing. This is why we got all 3 of them on here, because we want to know what everyone's doing and so that you can try different things for you. Diggs, what are you asking your agents to hit as far as metrics or tracking?
So right now, the way my agency is set up is like we have managers, right? So every manager works with their team. Like Franklin is in a room with their team, and everybody has their own way that they do it. But what we know works for us is that everybody is on that room with that manager. Cameras are on, and they unmute when they have someone on and everybody's helping and they closing, right? So the goal is we work IUL and the leads are pretty fresh, right? So a lot of those leads are coming through as we're diving. So we're not gonna call 300. We're not gonna do $300. We don't have to. Sometime in 50 times 3. Remember, you gotta call each person. This is my deal. Each lead you're gonna call 3 times in a row, 3 times that day minimum. Sometimes you're gonna call them 9 to 12 times. That one person. I have people that call them 20 times until they answer the phone, right? So we're gonna do if they have 15 to 20 leads for that day, those new leads, they're gonna call them 3 times each, 3 times at different times, right? Because people are not gonna pick. Remember, it's a clock, and I want you guys to really visualize this. It's a clock. And then in that clock, your client, your lead that you're calling, there's going to be an hour in time for that person. But you don't know when that is. You have no idea. If you call me right now and I'm a lead in your phone, I'm not going to answer the phone because I'm here doing this. But if you call me at 7:30 today, maybe I was getting ready for this. I was gonna answer the phone and maybe you could have done a presentation for me. That was my time on your clock. And most agents give up on those 3 calls and then move on to the next person. When that person was probably working, let me call them again at 3 o'clock. Or maybe let me call them at 9 p.m. Or something happened today, they're going to be available on Tuesday because that's the day off. So you don't know that. So you got to call different times during the week. So that one lead is going to get a lot of phone calls. I have an agent that went to a lock-in and called this lead between Thursday and Monday 35 times. One person. And on Tuesday, she wrote a policy for $33,000 for that client. So that tells you don't stop calling. Now the numbers are, if you do three times a day, and you until you get that person on the phone, you do as many dials as you need. You're looking for getting on the phone and presenting to that client. So how many calls you make, I don't really care. How many people did you present it to? And then I could see a couple of things there. Okay, well, if you did this many presentation and you didn't close anyone, that's the problem with your presentation. Let's go look at it. How long were you on the phone with that client? Well, they hung up on the first 2 seconds. Well, then you have a bad introduction. Let's work on that. Well, they on the phone for 30 minutes and you're talking too much. You're not following the script. So you have to know what your agents are doing at what stage so you could help them. Because if you don't know that, it doesn't matter what you say. You could be talking to me all day long, but you don't know what I'm messing up in which part of the presentation or at what point on the call. Maybe they're not answering the phone because, like Desiree said, you're not dialing from a dialer. You're not using a different system, a different, phone number. So those are the things that you as a manager, or you that are building teams, or you that are calling and closing sales, you got to be aware of those things and go to your manager and have them, let them listen to your call. This is the one thing that I've done always. I recall all of my calls, all of them, and I let my team listen to them, and I listen to them, and I could see why I didn't close a sale. I know exactly why. I said, you went too fast on this, you gave prices too soon, you presented. I already know. And if you do that with your team, you could always help them better. So that's what I would say about that.
I love that. Thanks, guys. And guys, here's the thing that I want to make a point out because that was so good, Diggs. You have to make yourself helpable, right? So like, here's something that we have to deal with as managers, right? I get a message or a call the other day. Someone calls me, hey, my manager's not helping me. I don't think it's going good. I want to switch teams. Okay, right? I go to the manager, hey, this person wants to switch teams because they feel like you're not helping them. What's going on? And they're like, I never heard them unmute. They never tell me how many leads they bought. I reach out to them and ask them, right? And it's like, I never heard them dial the phone. They won't unmute. They won't come to the office. They won't do this. So here's the thing, guys. A lot of us are relying on our manager or our leader to give us this mentorship and to help us. But if you don't know your numbers and you're not doing anything, you're not making yourself able to be helped. Right? So you're relying on your leader. Like Digna said, if I come to Digna and I say, I am not successful, and she says, how long did you stay on the phone with that client? And I say, I don't know, I'm not helpable. If she says, how many dials did you make? And I say, I don't know, I'm not helpable. If she says, well, if I say, I've been dialing all day, did you unmute so I could hear you? No. Okay, well, you're not helpable. So the reality is, guys, if you're not giving your managers and your leaders actual tangible stuff to work with, they cannot help you. Right? So you're putting unrealistic expectations on them, right? Or it's like, oh, well, I dialed all weekend. Yeah, but did you dial all weekend in the office with Dom? No. Okay, well, did you dial all weekend on Zoom? No. So you just dialed by yourself. You weren't successful. And then you come to me and you think that I have like a magical telepathic, did you record your call so I can listen to it? No, I didn't record it. So I'm like, okay, so how do you want me to know what you did? You didn't track it. You didn't record it. I can't hear it. You want me to just have like magical alien ears that I was able to like be in your house in the weekend while you were dialing in your closet by yourself? It's not possible, guys. So make yourself helpable. You can't just come to your manager and say, I'm failing. And then they're like, well, what happened? And you're like, I don't know, not really sure. And then you're like, I have a bad leader. It's like, no, you didn't give any tangible things for us to work with. Does that make sense? So I think that's super important, Diggs, of what you said right there of like, I can tell you if you're going too fast. I can tell you if you're going too slow. But if I don't know those things, what advice am I supposed to give you? So that's huge. All right, Dom. Specifically, question for you. Now that you have hired a lot of your warm market, how are you still recruiting? What's your recruiting strategy?
Yeah, so now that my personal warm market, I would say I've reached out to the majority of them. Once again, timing is everything, so I'm still hopeful on some. But I think the first thing that should be tapped into in that sense is your team's warm market. It's every week I've been doing a business overview meeting that basically is just me and a couple of other guys for like 20 minutes just breaking down the business. And it's able, it allows them to be able to invite their warm market, invite their people that could do good in this opportunity as well. So tapping into other people's warm market, as well as that's when you got to start to go into cold market outreach. So that's DMs, that's liking and following people, just having conversations as well. Talk to servers, like you were saying earlier, your server, valet. Not everyone's happy where they're at. Even if they are happy where they're at, they could want more. And, there's really no way to know who's going to be great or who's going to tell you, screw off, I like it here. It doesn't matter. But if you never have that conversation, you'll never know. So it's just tapping into anything income producing activities that you possibly can at all times of the day.
I love that. And also, Dom, they don't have to be a certain stage to do that. They could do a business overview meeting by themselves. They could go live on Instagram, right? They could do anything.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's funny you said that because I just had a new agent that, just out of nowhere popped up a Instagram live. There was like 20 people on there. And she was just explaining a little Q&A. So it really doesn't matter if you've been here 4 years or 4 weeks. It's just explaining what you've learned, being honest, and pointing to other people. Third party validation is huge. That's all I did in the beginning. I was honest about how it was going for me. I didn't say I'm making $1 million or anything. I was like, I've gotten some sales, but there's this one guy, he's been here for 2 years, he's writing X amount. That's what I'm striving towards. So it's using your validation and using this amazing resources and people that have been successful as well.
Yeah, and I think that's super important too, guys, because you guys, a lot of times we get on calls like this and we think, well, when I get as big as Dom and I get as big as Des or I get as big as Digna, I'll do these things. But you have to remember that this is what they've done to get to where they are. So for the person that asked that question and you said do a business overview meeting, a lot of times it's like, okay, well, when my team gets to be Dom's size, I'll do a business overview meeting. But you could do one right now. It doesn't matter. You could be a brand new agent and you could be like, I'm going live on Instagram, just me and my buddy over here, and we're going to talk about the business. So you don't need to wait until your teams or you do 30K to do this stuff. You can do this now. So I think that's super important. Dom, real quick. All right, now I'm not going to try to tell anybody what they need. I'm not telling anybody to switch anything. I just want to make sure everyone knows all the options that are available to them. Digna and her team, Spanish IULs, they found that's what's worked for them. They're going to keep doing that, right? Des, you guys do a lot of IULs. Dom, you guys work in the office. You guys sell a lot of final expense with a couple IULs. We've seen some transition. Talk to us about what you like about final expense, why that's been successful for your team.
Yeah. And like you were saying, you see success both ways. So it's not like one's clearly better than the other or this or that. And even in the company as a whole, if you look at the leaderboards and you look at the, top 50 people in the company, it's a mix between the two. So that goes to show you that either one does work. Now, what we've kind of found with the final expense is it makes it, in a sense, a quicker sale, as well as allows agents to get quicker sales. So, they're not $30,000 sales, no. But if you're racking up $1,000 sales throughout the week, it is nice to have a sale a day. It is nice to get those little wins that stack up to bigger wins. So it's something that we've realized that we like. It kind of takes the explaining the product out of the equation as well. You say whole life, they're simply going to ask, does it ever expire? Does it build cash value? It's very simple questions to say yes, like no, it never expires, builds you cash value, and we're going for day one coverage. So it allows you to not have to explain the product and more so just find the why for how this product can help them with their problem, whether it's final expenses, loss of income replacement, social security income replacement, all that good stuff.
Yeah, that's huge. And I bring that up, you guys, because here's the deal. If you're working directly with Digna and Digna's the one helping you every day and Digna says do IULs, you should probably do IULs, right? If you're going to Dom's office and you're direct to Dom and Dom says, hey, the best thing I can help you with is vet leads, you probably should do what your manager is doing. But I also want you guys to remember that FFL, the reason we've been so successful is because we have everything. So you should be able to write final expense if you need to write final expense. You should be able to sell an IUL if you need to sell an IUL. You should be able to bang out some mortgage protection if you can do some mortgage protection, right? So just so you guys know, right? A lot of us, you might get hired on and you stick mostly with your team and that's fine, but we do have everything, right? So 14 of the top 20 are currently are doing life, right? Dom said it's a great mix. They do mostly final expense, bang out some IULs, right? Digna does mostly IULs, but she can surely go and bang out some final expense. Same thing for Des. So my point is, guys, don't get so locked in to I have to do only this one thing. If it's not working, try something else out. Make sure you can shake it up, right? Obviously, talk to your manager. Don't necessarily listen to me because I'm not the one on Zoom with you every single day. All right, Des, scenario question for you. I like this one. Someone said, if you were starting over today with no leads and $100 only, what would you do in the next 7 days?
If I only had $100 and in the next 7 days, I probably would go. I mean, this is what I did when I first started. I would go freaking hammer my family and friends and make sure my immediate family's covered. And I might do some, I don't know, like go on Facebook groups. I know it's possible because at the end of the day, we're just selling, we're helping people with life insurance. We're helping them with the product they're for sure going to use. It's not like car insurance or homeowners insurance. They're not guaranteed to use that. But I think taking that $100 and again, like I said, helping my family, helping people that because again with any type of lead type, especially like the IUL, we have income replacement questions, right? People think of life insurance as general death insurance. We could legitimately help anyone with anything from replacing their income if they had a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, helping them with retirement planning if you don't have like a Roth or a 401k set up, explaining the IUL to them in that sense, or just helping them with traditional insurance. So I think there's always a way, and if you either make an excuse or you make a way. So that's probably what I would do.
Did you have to get a credit card when you first started, Des?
No.
You already had one? Or you
I mean,
had
I think I didn't have a credit card, but if that was it, I probably, okay, to be honest, I think I did max out. I had like a smaller limit credit card, maybe like $500, and then I ended up getting like a business credit card. And then I was just, I mean, that's all my leads are just swiped on my business credit card.
Yeah, I think that's huge. And you said make a way, guys. Like, and here's the reality is I say that was like a hypothetical scenario, but it's not hypothetical. A lot of people on this call have $100 or they have $200 or they have $300 and they're trying to figure out how to do it. And the reality is, guys, you're not the only one in that situation. So
And
you will figure it out. Go hammer Facebook groups, hammer your friends and family. Go, find some leads, generate something on Facebook, go post on Facebook, go to your local shops. Like you will figure it out if you really want it. And what's so
yeah,
funny, Des, is like a lot of people will be like, I don't have money for leads, but it's like then you'll see them like at a concert or something. And then you're like, well, you had money for
dude,
you didn't have money for the leads.
yeah. Or they buy Starbucks every day. And I was going to say this too, and I say this to people that I like even interview. I'm like, hey, this is a very low barrier of entry business. Most businesses have to go to Wells Fargo and ask for a business loan. And Digna knows this too, because her and her husband had a very successful roofing company business. Most businesses have to go ask for business credit or get a business loan. And then everyone here has seen Shark Tank, right? Those freaking business owners are begging, give me 100,000, I'll give you equity of my business. Raising $1,000, 500 to $1,000 is not hard. Go Uber Eats, sell some of your freaking fancy Nikes and Jordans, sell a couch, sell whatever you have to do, sell a TV like what Digna says. It's not hard to raise $1,000 compared to 10,000, 30,000, and it's all up here. And it's again, if it's going to take you a week, cool, go grind it out. Go do Instacart, Uber Eats, cool. I have my $1,000. Great, Des, where do we go from here? And I love seeing that in people because it's the people who show up with that I'm like, okay, I'm going to invest in you.
Love it. All right, Diggs. What do you tell your agents as far as leads when they first come in? Do you give them leads? Do they have to buy leads? What's the minimum? Where do they get them from? What's the strategy?
So we have our own lease system that I built a while back. It took me a lot of work and money and everything under the sun to get it there. But when they come in, I want to see the commitment. I need a goal and a schedule for anyone that I'm going to work with. If they don't have a schedule that they're going to show, this is work. Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have 2 hours a day for you whenever you feel like it. This is work. I need to know when you're going to work and what's the goal? How much money you want to make in 30 days, in 60 days, and in 90 days. Those are my three numbers. And I need to know your why. Because if I don't know those three things, I cannot help you. I'm sorry. I'm way too busy to waste time with people that don't have a why, that don't have a schedule, and don't have a goal. Those are my main things. Least is the least of my concern for people. If I have a why, a schedule, and a goal, I could do anything with that person. I promise you. I give some old leads when for the most part because that's practice. And again, that doesn't take a week. That's a couple of hours dialing old leads. Do 500 calls. I don't care how many calls. Get good on the phones. Get people to tell you you're crazy. Call them 100 times. Get the fear of the phone out of the way, and then go ahead and make your first $500 investment in leads, fresh leads, and let's go close on sales. But you're seasoned already in a day, in 2 days. It's not a week, guys. This is the mindset of some people. It's like, well, the first month it's going to take me 3 weeks. No, it's going to take you 3 hours. Like literally, like I get so like I like urgency. I do not have time for people that don't have urgency. I just don't have the patience. I'm sorry. I'm crazy like that. I need people that are hungry and they need to like do this yesterday. That's who I want to work with. Although, by the way, don't think I'm that crazy. I have people that are sweet and they're going to take their time and I love them and I love them so much, but they don't get my time. They just don't. So that's how I feel about that lead situation.
Yeah. Now, Diggs, you're in a very good space now. Your team's growing. You're freaking crushing it. But before the business, you went into a lot of debt. During this business, you've had a lot of struggles and you've put yourself where you've had some financial things you had to get out of. So a lot of times people see where you're at now and they don't think about like where you've been. So talk about why you're so passionate about when an agent's like, I don't have money or I can't do it or I don't have a schedule. Like, what does that mean to you? Did you ever sell a TV to get some leads?
I sold everything I think in my house. I'm be honest with you guys. Everything on the you cannot imagine the tears that I cry in this office. The times that I call this young lady and like I'm gonna lose my mind, but this has to work. And the day that I would never forget that you sent me $1,500 to buy leads because I didn't have it. Because I could not tell my husband that I had all this debt from some crazy people that jump in my team that I don't know who the heck they were, and it's my responsibility, and I'm not getting paid, but yet I'm selling 50 grand a month, and I'm not getting a dime into my bank account, and yet I'm taking my mortgage money to buy leads. This is real stuff, guys. And I'm so grateful for this. This is why I'm telling you, you talk bad about Family First Life, and we're gonna have a fight because this is the company when I had because this is one thing about I'm not gonna quit. That's not in it's not in my book. It's just not. I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna be bleeding. I'm gonna be a mess, but I'm gonna be here fighting. Right? That's just me, and that's how I was. And to have your support, and then here's what most agents do: they get that grace. It's a grace from God. Someone helps you, right? Buys you leads, give you old leads, give you another chance, and you freaking waste it. Oh my God, it kills me. I want to kill them. I don't have time for you. I was working 24/7 around the clock. You have like no idea how I'm going to take that $1,500 and make it into 30K this month. Guys, when you get an opportunity, run with it. Don't waste it. And a lot of people just wasting time here. I don't understand why. You could get paid every single day in this company. Where else can you do that? Nowhere else. And then it's not even me getting paid. At this point, I don't look at what goes in my bank account. That's not my priority. Is having Javier hidden logo this month, 21 years old, killing it. Sending me screenshots every morning. Digna, I got paid $25,000 in the last 2 weeks. I'm 21 and I'm going to invest it back in my business. It's having Elizabeth, who came into my business with a negative bank account that has over $100,000 in her bank account today. It's having Euphrasia, who had a minus $21,000 lawsuit in her bank account with $100,000 in her bank account and taking care of her kids and having another baby and having a big agency today. And this is all happening within a year and a half, guys. 2 years max. Okay. It's having Pilar hitting Hall of Fame after 11 years in this industry, not making money. It's having Jocelyn being able to move to a better community and have her kids in a better school and have money today, hitting Hall of Fame last year, coming in here with no money. It's having those things, those people in my team that are changing their lives because I didn't give up. When I didn't have the money, when I didn't have anything, all I had was the dream. This has to work for me. I don't care how much debt I had, how many people put bad business in my team. I didn't care about any of that. I'm gonna sell till I make this work. And the only way you're going to make this work for you guys is to get on the phone, get intentional, and forget about everyone and everyone. I didn't come out of this office. I didn't care about vacations. Do not invite me to go see a movie in my house. My husband will go upstairs with the kids, and I say, I'm not coming. I can't focus. I'm going to sell. Do not invite me to a vacation. There's no vacations for me for 3 years. I didn't go anywhere. I'm sorry. I don't have time for that. Don't invite me to baby showers or wedding. I'm not coming. I'm selling insurance right now. I got to get out of this hole, people. Be intentional recruiting, because if not, you're going to sell the rest of your life. I hope I answered the question.
Just mic drop. I love it. All right, guys, here's the deal. It is 9. I'm going to keep rolling until Digna and Des and Dom like have to kick me off. So I think if you guys are down, let's go like a couple more minutes because we have a ton more questions I want to get through. If you guys got to get off, got to get off. Cool. We're fine. We'll survive. Those of you that want to stay on, we're going to roll a couple more minutes. So, all right, Dom, how do you build a sustainable team culture?
So what I've realized is culture is everything in that sense, because culture and sustainability go hand in hand. If you got people that are arguing all the time, you got nobody wants to work, everyone's down on themselves, no one's going to want to stick around and no one's going to want to work. Essentially, I wouldn't want to, shoot. So, and to be honest with you, I did have a time in the past year and a half where it was getting a little down. The culture was not the best. It was in December going into convention. It was like dragging ourselves across the finish line. It was rough. And it just came down to people not showing up, people, whether it was losing faith in themselves, they needed a reminder of why they were doing this. But I realized from that standpoint that like I never want that to happen again. It was awful for me, it was awful for them. And that made me realize that culture is something that needs to be protected every single day, whether that's, helping each other, picking each other up, and just all realizing why we're here, hitting each other's goals and just motivating each other. Because kind of like Des was saying, it's like motivation only lasts so long, but it lasts a lot longer if the person next to you is motivated as well. So that's how you can kind of keep that fire. We have a sales gong in here that someone could be, dialing all day, kind of having a bad day. You hear a gong from across the room. It's like, whoa, like what just happened? Who was that? Like, who got that one? He got that one? Oh no, I could beat him. Like, I'm way better than him on the phone. I got to get a sale now. So it's just pushing each other each and every day. And, we talk about how important lock-ins are and any in-person events. And it's huge. If you have an office near you, go to it. If you, know of an event coming up, make sure you're there. There's no excuse unless you choose to pick one at the end of the day.
Yeah. And Dom, I think something too that's super important for you is you lead by example. So even if Dom, you're not having your best day, you're always showing up for the team.
Yeah, because they matter more in a sense. There's a lot of times I wish I could just, all right, see ya, or like I'm not having a good one, I'll see ya, but I don't. And it's because it's for them at the end of the day. And that's the beauty of building a team. Because I'll tell you, and my fiance could tell you, when I was working from home and I was on Zoom, I would hit a little button, and I would turn my computer off, and I would go take a little lunch and watch a movie. And 3 hours later, it's like, what am I doing? So it's other people that hold you accountable, that you're pushing for because you want to see them win.
Yeah. And I think that has to go with just like, if you can encourage other people, and every time that I have encouraged other people, it always comes back tenfold to me. So that's super important, guys. If you're having a bad day, bad week, you're not meeting your goals, it is going to come back to you if you go in the chats and hype other people up. You go help other people. You go love on them. You go encourage them. Because the business can get lonely if you do it by yourself. That's why we're all here. That's why there's, 130 of us still on the call at 9:06 at night, right? This is why we do this. And this makes it easier for us if we can fail together and succeed together. So I think that's super important, Dom. And also, Dom leads by example. Dom, you're selling 40 grand a month to show your team what's up.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so I love that. All right, Des. Well, I'm not going to ask you now because you always take things seriously. All right. What systems do you have in place to ensure that you're not absorbing any roll-up debt as an agency owner?
What systems do I have in place? I think it starts with who you interview. So I don't just hire anybody. I normally, if I do interviews, I like to meet them on Zoom. I like to make sure there's no like sketchiness going on, that they followed instruction. And from there, I think again, with who you hire and who you let in the business, I feel like that could help avoid potential roll-up debt. Because if I get any kind of like eeriness, I'm like, oh, not going to hire that person. Oh, they didn't. And and then I also learned this from Nicole, but she kind of like fires people after 30 to 60 days. So I'm not that like strict, but I was also looking at like, okay, cool. If they're not hitting a production number after 60 to 90 days and they're not showing up on Zoom, that's kind of weird. So being very intentional about that. So again, with who you recruit and then also monitoring who has an active license in your agency.
Yeah. And Des, I want to be clear about something because you're saying, I could fire you from my agency for not showing up. And a lot of people think that's about you. Like it can come across as like, oh, this is harsh and that's as being harsh. But the reality is that's for them. Right. So talk about that because I think a lot of times as agency owners, it can come across as like, oh, she's telling me what to do, or she's trying to control me, or she's trying to micromanage me, and I'm supposed to be independent. Talk about why it's so important that you do that if they're not successful and you want them to be successful in the business.
Right, because if you're investing like $500 to $1,000 a week on leads, but then you're not really showing up or putting in the work per se, we don't want you to waste your money on leads or like our time in a sense, but then also from a liability standpoint. So I think we're helping each other out in that way. Because if you're constantly investing in leads, but you're not showing up to put in the work, you're going to end up wasting money and people's time and resources and stuff like that.
Right. And I think that's super important, guys, because a lot of it is we want you to be successful, right? It's never you should quit this business out of we don't want you and we don't love you. It's we don't want to see you go down this path because we've been there. All of us have been like
Yep.
up, down, up, down, up, down. I spent money, I lost money, So if we can save you from doing that and telling you guys, hey, this is the mistakes we made. And if you don't make these mistakes, you'll be successful. But we don't want to see you get chargebacks. We don't want to see you go into debt. We don't want to see you roll up debt to anybody. We don't want to see you hire somebody that you shouldn't have hired and then they roll up debt to you, right? So all these talks that seem like, oh, that's kind of harsh, it's because she wants you to make money. That's why she's
Right.
telling you, like, if you're not going to, and this isn't going to work, we love you, but like you might be better off doing something else because this business is not for the ups and downs. You've got to stay consistent if you really want it to work.
100%. And you taught me this too. Like you would never tell me something that would harm me because at the end of the day, if you win, I win. So I know what you're telling me comes from a place of like where you've come across. And I tell that to people too. I don't like the word micromanaging, but there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Like we're all giving you the same duplicatable system. So if I tell you to do something, it's honestly because I've made that mistake. So I want to help you not waste any more time or any more money. And so we all, and I've learned from Digna, I learned from you. And a lot of the things that I say, it's because I just heard it from you or Sean or, other people who are killing it in this industry. And remember, guys, success leaves clues at the end of the day. So I'm like, why would I try and go reinvent the wheel if this blueprint's right in front of me?
Yeah, that's huge. Des, what's something that you changed that took you from 15K to over 30 every single month?
Treating this like a business, I think. And so when we talk about treating it like a business, it's like showing up for yourself every single day. And because commission-based sales is like you eat what you kill. And that just means like if you're not hunting, you're not going to freaking eat. But also you can't starve your business. So when I love using this analogy, and I wish like when I was new, I understood that concept. But any business, you need funding, like you need inventory. And I wasn't buying leads consistently every single week. And so I was looking at it like, okay, cool. If I ran a grocery store, why would I still try and sell the expired groceries on my shelves? Every week I got to restock and restock and restock because it gives me more opportunity. And also what helped me too is like every time I would make a sale or I wouldn't make a sale, it was a no sale or it was a presentation. I always thought like I sucked. But then when I started to look around, I was like, holy crap, this whole thing is just one big math equation. If I get more leads, I have more opportunity. And I understand if I do 4 presentations, I won't sell all 4, but I'll still sell 2 and I'll get paid $2,000 the next day. So it's all law of large numbers. And at the end of the day, if you're coachable and you're, again, you're ready to learn, you're ready to take the rejection, just keep freaking moving forward. And remember, treat it like a business and it'll pay you like a business.
Love it. All right, Diggs, this is going to be a good one for you. All right, how do you get more practice if you feel like you're doing all the right things, buying leads, dialing them, but still not getting really any responses or moving forward with any of them? What should I be switching up besides just buying more leads?
Okay, so if you're buying leads and you're showing up and all of that's happening, it's a mindset problem that we're having. If you have a schedule, you have a why, you're buying the leads, you will need to work on your mindset. So you're getting distracted by negative beliefs, by things that they said in the past, that things that didn't work, and something is in your head when you're calling the lead. You're talking yourself out of the sale. That's exactly what you're doing. I don't have to hear your presentation. I promise you that when you talk to the client, they ready to give you a bank account and do the policy, and you talking too much or too little, and you just missing the sale with people. So it's a mindset shift that needs to happen. So you need to work on your skills, right? And in your mindset every single day. So something has to change. So if you don't have a morning routine, that's what I would suggest and recommend. Like get up earlier, work out, read something, pray, whatever works for you. Visualize your day, talk to your leader, whatever gets you going. You need to do that. Be in a room with people that are better than you. Because if you're working with people that are not making any sales and they complaining about the leads or whatever, that's why you're not selling. So you need to be in a room with Desiree. And I promise you that you will not like feel like, oh my God, these leads are not working because she's killing it. Or with Nicole, they killing, they selling, or any other people here. So that's who you need to be around. And that would change everything for you. Because I promise you, if you buy leads and you call them, even if you're really, really bad, you're still gonna sell. I'm not kidding you. I have people that I'm like, oh my God, did she just get that bank account? Did she just sold that policy? Are you kidding me? Like, it's that crazy because the system does work. So it's a mindset problem that we need to work on, and you need to address that and work with your manager immediately to help you get over that little. It's just a little mountain you got to cross. It's a little bridge, and once you get to that other side, you're gonna be unstoppable.
That's huge. But how powerful is that, you guys? It's up here, right? And a lot of us, Diggs, we say we believe it, but we don't. Like, how many of you guys on this call are sitting down on the phone every day? You got your leads, you got your scripts, but you don't actually think you can do it.
Correct.
That's crazy. And you're saying, I think I can do it, but you don't actually really believe that you can do it. Think about how much power that's having over you. That's crazy. Okay, Diggs, well, you kind of just talked about this, but I want to know another thing because this was a separate question that came in. What is something that you think is holding people back from becoming a 30K producer? The main thing.
Definitely themselves. They're not consistent enough. So these are the type of people. You're not doing 30K every month in this company. It's you. Right. It's absolute. It's not the leads. I don't care what leads you call. It's not the companies. I mean, we're getting paid from the same companies, right? They didn't give me a different compensation plan. They didn't give me different companies. Neither to Desiree or to Dominic. We have the same companies, the same compensation plan, the same CEO. We have all of the same things you have. So now let's look at you. So if you're not producing 30K, is one, you don't have a schedule. Two, you're not buying enough leads. Maybe you have to work on the mindset. And absolutely, you're not being consistent. If you're doing those things, maybe you do it for a week, you have a couple of sales, and then you take off, and then you come back. And let me tell you one thing that's really hard in this business is to restart every single time. You're not taking advantage of the compounding interest in your work. And that is not just for IULs and growing the money, it's in our work. Because momentum is the one thing that we need to get. And once you have it, don't let it go. I don't care how that my agency could do 3 millions tomorrow. And guess who's gonna be here the next morning more fired up than that I've ever been? Digna. I'm going to be doing more videos. I'm going to be more crazy. I'm going to buy more leads. I'm going to be like, hell, let's go. I'm going to hire 20 new agents today because now we have more numbers to show for. That's the problem with a lot of people. They do 30K in a month, and now they go, I don't know where the heck they go, but they go spend the money.
Disneyland.
Yeah, Disneyland. I said, you went to Disney. They think they made it. Oh my God, you have a long way to go. There's so many people that need to hear from from us about this opportunity. What are you doing? 30K? That's nothing. That's lead money. Let's keep going. That's just you just getting in there. Like, okay, let's do it again. And let's do it again. And let's put some money for taxes and let's put some money for leads and let's go and recruit and let's build the systems and let's build that big agency. It takes money. It takes time, and it's consistency. At this point, I think it's consistency that you're not showing up every day. And if you do show up because you have money in your bank account, you are showing up and you're on Zoom, but you're not doing the work. You're good. Your bills are paid. You're cool. But you just hire a new agent that don't have money to pay rent and probably took the last $500 from their bank accounts to buy leads, and there you are because you got 30K in your bank. You don't care. That's very selfish. And I hate people like that. I'm like, no. I'm concerned about the agent that we just contracted today. They want to know if this is going to work for them. And the only way they're going to find out if they go and do it with you. And I think that's the biggest problem for a lot of people here, that they get paid and then it's like, I'm good. I got my money.
Mm-hmm.
You got to show up every day. Consistency is key in what we do here.
That's huge. I love that. And guys, she makes a really good point too. Consistency is not for a week. It's not for a month. It's not for 3 weeks. Like Digna's been at this for 3 years now. I've been at this 4.5 years. That's crazy. I feel like just yesterday I was like, oh, I'm a brand new agent. I was just meeting Riyadh in the office, like, hey Riyadh, how are you? And you were like, hi, how are you? And it's like, dude, we're basically old in this business now. But it took years. So when we say be consistent, it's not consistent for a month. It's not consistent for a week. It's not, oh, I'm gonna work 3 days in a row. It's like really put your time into this. And even though it seems like a couple years is way quicker than you could do it anywhere else in any other industry. So, all right, I promise I'll get you guys off here soon. I just get fired up. Dom, what is something you were uncomfortable doing or you didn't want to do when you got started, but forcing yourself to do it helped increase your production?
So in terms of, I know you said production at the end, but I do want to point out that I was really bad at recruiting in person at first. I hated having conversations. There was one day where I took a day off of selling and I just went around to local valets and stuff and tried to talk to people. And I was so bad at it and it was so uncomfortable for me, but it forced me to make it more comfortable. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is I was out on my buddy's boat one day on a weekend, and there was someone working on the boat dock. And I was like 1 foot on the boat, and I'm like, ah, shoot, like I really should talk to this guy. So I like turned around. I was like, hey, how's it going? How long have you been working here for? And he was like, about a year. I'm like, okay, awesome. I'm like, do you like it or not too much? And he said, not too much. I'm looking for other opportunities. So I said, cool. If I send you over something about this business, would you be interested? I was parking cars, making about $500 a week. Now I'm selling life insurance. I make about 3,000 a week. Would you be interested? He said, yeah. And that guy is Nicholas D'Ambroso. So it's like he's having 40, 50,000 weeks, killing it. Now he's building his own team. And it's like, had I not gotten uncomfortable, gotten better at what I sucked at, then, he wouldn't have that opportunity, first off. And second off, I wouldn't have been building a team. So it really goes to show that uncomfortability is when you really grow as a person, as a team, as a business, as everything. So it's getting uncomfortable is crucial in that scenario. You want me to talk about production too?
No, I think that's great. I mean, that's pretty much it. I mean, that's pretty much the same thing for production, right? But you had 1 foot on the boat and 1 foot off the boat, and you had a decision. You had a decision to make, and that seems cheesy, guys, but that is real. And Nick said, "Thank God he stepped off the boat to talk to me." Right? So the reality is, but a lot of times we do that in our production too, right? I halfway did the script, but I didn't go all the way. I halfway got some leads, but I got like 5 when I knew I could have afforded to get 10. Or I did this, but you had 1 foot in and 1 foot out, and you're in the crossroads of like, am I really going to do this thing or am I not? And over here is really comfortable, and over here is really uncomfortable. How often are you choosing the uncomfortable thing? Probably not very often because it's uncomfortable. We don't want to do it. Someone said we're going to need a bigger boat. We need a really big boat for Inspire Group, and I'm really excited about that. All right, Des, this is going to be our last question, and I'm really challenging you here, okay?
Okay.
All right, because this question said this, all right? You're not allowed to use any quotes, okay? You can't
Gosh dang it. All
you
right.
can't use F your mood, follow the plan. Okay, you can't use any Instagrammable 10x stuff. Okay.
All right.
How do you handle weeks when things aren't clicking for you, mentally and actionably? Like, how do you actually handle hard weeks, Des, without any quotes?
Okay. This is huge. And I'm not trying to sound corny either, but I think if you take a moment and you like zoom out and you look at your perspective of like your life, right? Sometimes it's as small as me saying, thank you, God, that I'm breathing and I'm healthy and I have this place to call home and I have this vehicle to drive me to an office and I have an office and I have people that I work with that I love. And it's just listing things of gratitude. And like, I could like, I'm tearing up a little bit thinking about it just because that really just grounds you in that scenario. So I think starting your day off with, even if it's as small as that, and I do think like I believe in God and stuff. So like I pray and I just thank Jesus every day for everything that I have and even finding this business because I don't know where the hell I would be. So I think just starting your day off with that because it'll help. And Sean does a really good job of this. He'll say like, have some effing respect for yourself. So he does it in a very direct way. But I think thinking about like what's going on in this world, like people in different countries, and I'm like, gosh, I'm here and I'm trying not to sound corny, but that helps me reset every single time. And then I'll go like run or do jog. Like I was I was jogging for this call. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm kind of nervous, but I'm gonna go run a lap. And I think getting around and moving helps too, like your physiology. But gratitude and freaking moving and changing your perspective. So hopefully that helped.
No, I think that was great. And it's so true, right? Because at the end of the day, if the worst thing that happens to us today is we don't make a sale, I think we're going to be good. If the
Yeah.
worst thing that happens today is someone hung up on you or 100 people hung up on you, I think we're going to be good. So I think that's a really good advice, Des, and I love that. And you didn't use any quotes, so I'm proud of you for that. But I think it's super important, guys, because anything that can happen in the business, you got a chargeback, right? A $1,300 policy canceled when you could just write another one tomorrow. It's really not that big of a deal. So things seem like a huge deal in the moment, but I like that you said zoom out of your life, right? And Sean always does that. It used to drive me crazy because you could have like, I would have something serious going on. And he'd be like, oh, anyway. And I'm like, this was serious. And he'd be like, yeah,
Yeah.
it wasn't really that serious. And I'd be like, wow, no one listens to my
Right.
feelings. But that's how it is, right? Like you have to zoom out and have perspective of like, okay, someone hung up on me. My number got marked as spam. Like, all right, how bad is it really?
Right.
So I
And
think
I
that
think being around people, sorry, not to cut you off, being around people who could shift your perspective, because if I came to you, you would check me real quick. And I try to tell people, don't be around people who are like, "Oh my gosh, woe is you. I'm so sorry that happened." I want someone who's like, "Get up. Let's go again. Let's do it again. You have the same skills. You just sold $20,000 in that one policy. You could do that again. Cool, you have a chargeback. Do it again. You have the skill set. Like, let's go." And being around that kind of environment is very helpful. So be aware of who you're around, right? You don't want people to just coddle you. You need that growth.
and I think that's really important of knowing who you can talk to, right? If you guys are having a negative day, you do not want to call someone who's going to be negative with you.
Run.
Right? Like Des and Digna and Dom both know. Like all three of them, they all know if they call me, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I feel for you. That's why they call me because they want to get ripped, right? Because I'm gonna be like, you're kidding me, right? Only because I had to have that happen to me, right? So, but if I wanted to, have a crybaby fest and I want someone to be negative, I also wouldn't call either of these three guys because they're gonna tell me what's what, and then we're gonna get back on the horse. So the point is to a lot of times, guys, you get negative, you had a bad day, then you call someone who also had a bad day, and then what happens? You guys are jumping on the train to negative town together, and you guys are riding there, and you guys are having cocktails on the way, just being all negative Nancy because you guys are both feeling the same. So I think that's super important, Des, is you have to know who you can call. And in those times, you want to call someone who's going to be real with you, who's going to make it uncomfortable, and who's going to be like, Des, you're kidding me, right? This is what you're calling me about, bro? Like, just honestly lose my number. And I would say that to Des, and she would be like, okay, and right? So that's how it is. So you got to find those people in your life, right? And not everyone can handle the same stuff, but you got to build those relationships in the business. If you're having a bad day and you call someone else who's having a bad day, now you both are just having a bad day. So I love that. All right, Diggs, what do you want to end with? Anything we forgot?
I want to end with everybody here should be recruiting. There's 101 people now on this call, which is amazing. We've been here an hour and a half almost. And I think you need to make recruiting intentional, guys. Some of you guys are saying right now, well, I just want to sell. I don't want to recruit. That's a lie. You don't want to just recruit. You just don't want to sell because you're going to get old and you're going to get tired. And I love selling. Trust me, I love to be with clients, but I also love to take a vacation and get paid more than when I'm here. And I want to still be able to make a difference in someone's life, right? I still want to have somebody that calls me and say, hey, oh my gosh, I just moved my girls to a private school. Or hey, I just moved from this zip code to this place and now I have a bigger house. Or whatever. Or hey, I just sent my mom in Colombia a birthday gift that I never did. Oh, hey, I'm bringing my entire family from Colombia. This is a dream I have since I was a little girl, and I'm paying for everybody to do a Christmas together. Like those things, I mean, oh my gosh, there's no check that anyone could write for you that you getting a phone call like that, that someone is changing their lives because you said something. And some of you guys are thinking right now, I'm not ready. I'm going to wait till I have a story. I'm going to wait till I make 30K. I'm going to be like Desiree. And no, don't wait because you're being very, very selfish right now. Your sister, your cousin, your everybody needs this opportunity. I didn't know my brother needed this opportunity until, and I'm going to be very straight up here. My mother passed away last year. And honestly, that was, I think about that. My mother passing away and this opportunity, and those two things together changed my entire life. Because when I went back home, because my mom decided to leave the country, she didn't want to be here anymore. She wanted to be in her home in the Dominican Republic. And I went there to take care of my mother. And then I came back, and then she passed away, and I had to go back. And I was there honoring her memory and doing the things and taking care of business and doing whatever. And I didn't have to work those days. And my agency actually did more than what it did when I was here. Like my team went to work to make sure I didn't have to deal with anything. And then in that moment, I told to my youngest brother, who I have been chasing for 20 years to do any business with me because he's my younger brother. I love him. Like, I wish I could have someone in my family believe in me enough to do a business with me. No one. And at that moment, he was going through a hard time with real estate because that's what he was doing. He owns a business, a cleaning business too, for 15 years. He lives in New Orleans and he's a businessman. He's amazing. And I know that. And I also knew he was struggling with that business. And I said, this is the time for you to get licensed. Mom wouldn't want us to work together. Let's build a legacy. And it took him 2 weeks to get his license. And he's getting an agency now. And he's been busting his behind. He's been working like, and just to do that alone is so worth it, guys. So there are people in your family today, friends, people that know you, that need to hear from you after this call. Not tomorrow. I learned this from Tony Robbins. Do something when you inspire right now. Don't wait till tomorrow because you're going to forget and you're going to go back to your fears. And your head is going to take over and you're not going to do it. Today, somebody needs to hear from you with this excitement, like, hey, you need to listen to this information. This is amazing. I was on a call and I don't know everything. I'm brand new at this thing, but I think we could do this together. If you're new, if you've been doing it and you don't have success, it's okay. Talk about what everybody else is doing and say, I believe you and I could do this together and we could absolutely help each other. But there's someone, if everyone in here, 101 people, 98 people, call one person, I think we could have 50 new agents in the next week in this right here, in this agency. I promise you that. And that's what I want to end with. Don't be selfish. Share this opportunity, guys. It changed my life and I would never stop talking about it. And I wish you do the same. And that's what I'm going to end with.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to have to let Digna drop the mic on that one because that's how good she is. And I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for hopping on. Thank you guys for staying over. I'm a little biased, but I think we have the best team in the industry. We definitely have the best team at FFL. And I will tell you guys something. There are a lot of teams that are as big as us or bigger than us or even a little bit smaller than us, and they don't do anything together anymore. And this is near and dear to my heart. I love you guys. I'm here for you guys. I'm so thankful that we have people and managers that are all willing to get on and train and help each other. So you guys are the best. Thank you to Dom, Des, and Diggs. And we will get back on dials, and I will see you guys soon. Have a good night, guys.